Yo, what's good? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about tips for meal prepping for those who are looking for body composition. So that's muscle gain and burning fat, burning belly fat. How to meal prep, like what are some things that you should be focusing on so that you get the most out of your meal prep, right? The obvious thing is to cook food, right? And to cook food, season the food, and make sure you're choosing high quality food so that you're eating a nutritious, well-balanced diet, right? That's obvious. We don't need to tell you to cook food, right? So, but some things that you can benefit from are the tips that we're going to discuss here. One is meal prepping twice a week. This is exactly what I tell my clients. I'm like, it's very beneficial for you to meal prep twice a week, right? Sunday nights and Wednesday nights are typically the two nights that I recommend, right? Because it allows you to, have those leftovers for a maximum of 2 days, which will allow you to keep the food the freshest, right? When we start going on that day or that third day, food is not as fresh as it was 2 days ago when you first cooked it. So keeping the food as fresh as possible, because you want this to be as enjoyable as possible. You want the food to taste good. Now, it's not going to be, gourmet meals, because it's hard to track those macros, which is another tip that we're going to talk about here soon. When you have a gourmet meal, right? Keeping the food separate, eating whole food, eating, food that comes straight out of the ground, less processed as possible, is going to give you the best meal prepping, is going to give you the best results when meal prepping, because if you're counting your macros, which would make meal prepping even more impactful, then you will want to keep that macro counting as easy as possible, right? You don't want to be like, oh, how much of this did I use when I made this particular dish or this casserole or this, this particular food? How much? Like, you want it to be, all right, this is an apple, this is chicken, this is protein, carbs, and fat, and it's all separate, right? Even having the macros on the container would make that even more efficient. All right, so meal prepping twice a week is going to be very beneficial for you guys looking to meal prep. You keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? You'll see when people are doing these meal prep videos and they're showing you what they're cooking, typically it's the same thing. It's a protein source, it's a veggie source, and it's some carb source, right? It's very, very chicken, potatoes, and green beans, right? Beef, rice, and some other broccoli, right? You can have fish, you can have brown rice, and then you can have cauliflower. It's always a protein, a carb, and a veggie, and then usually there is, some fat within the meat, or you can put an avocado, some nuts, some seeds, some oils, and to just really sprinkle a little fat over there, and it'd be very, very effective. However, you don't see a lot of people switching things up, changing things up. You're not trying to have the most palatable food. You're not trying to have the most palatable food. When you do that, you will have a more difficult time when it comes to meal prep and, just getting your whole body composition plan on track and rolling. You want things that are repetitive, things that you can do over and over and over and over and over again. And you think about it right now, most people watching these videos, like 9 out of 10 people, you're not eating so many different foods right now, right? If you're looking to meal prep, you basically already eat the same foods day in and day out. You wake up, you have your coffee, your orange juice, your bagel, whatever the standard American diet is. You have a sandwich and fries at lunch. You maybe have a little bit cleaner dinner, or you make some pasta. You're basically having the same things throughout the week. Like, now you can switch it. Maybe one day instead of having chicken, you're having some beef, or having some salmon. You can switch up the concept of the actual food that you're eating, but it's pretty simple. It's a protein, it's a carb source, it's a veggie source, and it's some fat, olive oil, avocado oil, nut seeds. So you get your protein, your fat, and your carbs, making it very easy to track your macros. Okay, so keep it simple. Meal prep 2 times a week. Repeat the meals, right? Like, what are we doing? People, when you get started, you're like, oh, how can I make this as enjoyable? No. Just do what you're already doing now. You're basically eating the same thing. Find something that you like, right? And then if you want to have a flex meal, not a flex day, a flex meal once a week, so that you can, get that enjoyment out, by all means, do your thing, right? You'll soon to learn when you're on this meal prep journey that the food makes you feel a certain way, right? And you'll have that flex meal on a Saturday or a Friday night, whatever the case, and then you go to work out and like, I do not feel as good. Although that food was very enjoyable for the 10 or 15 minutes that I ate it, I'm now not suffering, but I'm not as enthusiastic. I'm not as high energy. I'm not as doing as well inside of the gym. So it starts to make you question, like, do I really want to eat this food? How much do I really want to eat this food? Which is amazing. This is another amazing thing about meal prep in general. And last but not least, know your macros. Know your macros so that when you are making your food, whether you make it in bulk or you make it down to the macro, know your macros so that you can, have your container pretty much set up to be what you need to eat for your 3 to 5 meals a day, right? So have 4 to 6 ounces of chicken. If you know you need to have X amount of protein, break it down in your meal so that when you eat it, you don't have to think about counting your macros. There's another thing you can add to meal prep is just writing the macros on the container. Just taking out all the guesswork. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take 2 to 4 hours at night, Sunday nights and Wednesday nights, so you have to prepare for it, but it saves you so much time throughout the week that you will, definitely benefit from it, because you'll learn that body transformation isn't very difficult to understand. It's just difficult to implement into your already busy life and schedule if you don't have a rock solid plan. Right? Although you have to get that rock solid plan, you got to get it in motion. You got to, got to adapt and adjust and have that kind of 3-week period where you're kind of figuring it out. But the people who are successful and who are not successful, I found working with me, are simply the people who can follow the plan. Right? It's not that people like are not understanding how to follow the plan. It's just, oh, something came up, work went over late, or I didn't have time to go to the gym, or I didn't have time to make my food. I had to run and get fast food. Like, not having things planned out. It says you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan. And that leads to failing. So make sure that you meal prep. I have the luxury of not meal prepping. Like, I just wake up, I cook some chicken, I steam a bunch of veggies, and I'll eat on that the entire day. That's how I do it. But, for most people who have full-time jobs, have families, have a lot of responsibilities, and not a lot of time, meal prepping is going to be massively beneficial. So that's it. I hope it helps. In another video, I'll show you exactly what I eat, what I meal prep. It's basically chicken, veggies, and I don't eat that many carbs anymore, but it's a protein source, typically a carb source if I'm working out or training, a veggie source, and some fats. So it's very simple. Keep it simple, guys. Eat the same thing over and over again. It sounds boring, but if you look at your life right now, you basically eat the same thing every single time anyway. So don't make it harder than it has to be. Make sure you comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you got some value from it. What are you meal prepping? What are some tips that you like to take into account when you're meal prepping your food that you can help with the community? Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're dropping, all these videos to help you, transform your body. And I will see you guys and gals in the next video. Peace.